Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Jamie from Project 9 Automotive, and this little beast is going to be our new race car. It looks a little shabby at the minute, but over the next few weeks we're going to be giving it a transformation.
It's a Citroen C1 with a 1 litre, 3-cylinder engine punching a heavy 68 brake horsepower. Absolute powerhouse, I know. 0 to 60, of course it can. And this particular model is a VT, which is the basic line with no central locking or electric windows. Some say poverty spec, I say super lightweight. Some birds have also given their opinion of the car, but don't let that put you off.
The aim is to build this with Lee to participate in the C1 Racing Cup event at Silverstone in September. For those unfamiliar, it's one of the cheapest cup racing events in the UK with tracks all across the country. You can either buy one to build like we are, or you can hire one. I'll put a link for their website below if you want to find out more information. The race is less than 2 months away and I don't have a lot of time to get it done. With that in mind, let's get in the garage and get it sorted.
Now, I have built one of these many years ago for a different customer, so I've got a little bit of experience knowing what to do. The regs have changed ever so slightly over the years, however most parts are really easy to fit, so even you at home should be able to do it. To go racing, you need the car to be as light as possible. That means removing anything from the interior that you don't need, such as the carpet, interior trim, some passenger seats, seat belts. Once all that's gone, then you can start putting the safety stuff in, such as the cage, fire extinguisher, race arms. So yeah, let's go. First job is removing the driver's seat. A nice easy job. There's 2 bolts at the front, 2 at the back, and then 1 wire underneath for the seatbelt light. Once the bolts are out, tip the seat back and then you should be able to access the wire underneath. Look at that, easy work. And now onto the passenger seat, same again, 2 bolts at the front, 2 at the back, and then there isn't any wire on this one. Now the rear seats, the base just pulls up from the floor. Once that's out of the way, you can fold the back down, and then there's 2 nuts either side. Once those are out, I would recommend trying to get a box to put all these nuts and bolts in. They do come in handy for other things, so just put them aside for another day. Now the seats are out, I can get to all the trim and the carpet and the seat belts. Try and be careful when you remove everything, because you can sell a full interior on eBay or the marketplace to get a bit of your money back. And I just want to add that all the music in this series will be from unsigned bands. This episode, all these tracks are from my brother's band, The Side Project. The links to their music on Spotify or Apple Music will be below if you want to give them a cheeky spin. And back to the car. Once the final side panels are off, I can get to the rear seat belts. They're just held in with a couple of bolts at the top. Again, put those aside and you could sell them with a full job lot. Final 2 carpet trims to take out. Once those are off, I just have the passenger side seat belt and then the driver's side seat belt to take off. Easy work, look at that. Next up is the roof lining. It's got a few screws that hold the sun visors in, and then it's on clips all the way around. Again, try not to damage it, but it is hard to do because it is stuck to the roof. As you can see, I'm using my tongue here for maximum accuracy. Once those screws are out, the sun visors should just pull down. 2 final clips at the back. Once those are out, we can finally pull it away from the roof. Once I take out that screw I've left in. As you can see, I was taking no prisoners here. I creased it like an absolute idiot. However, I wasn't in a mad rush here, so taking care of it wasn't my priority. Okay, so now we're onto the centre pieces. The handbrakes around is next, and we need to keep these, so put them aside, try not to get them scratched anywhere. These are to go back in when the cage is all welded in. Same with the gear sticks around, it's only got 1 bolt to the floor, and then it's just on clips at the front which pull it away. These cars are really easy to work on, so anyone should be able to do it. Not to downplay my expertise, but yeah, they are really simple cars to get apart. And now we can strip the dash apart. One screw to take the radio out, it just pulls away on the clips, and there's a few wires to take off like the aerial, the hazard switch, and then a few others. Once that's out of the way, again, keep it to the side. You do not want to scratch this because this also has to go back in. Yes, you heard that right, the radio's got to go back in the race car, which does mean you can listen to the radio as you're flying around the track. That is if you want to. Anyway, now on with the steering wheel. You want to disconnect the battery before you do this, and then there's 2 screws either side, and then the airbag should pop away from the steering wheel. Once it's off, there's 1 wire for the horn, 1 wire for the airbag, and then put that away, somewhere safe. 1 19mm nut in the middle. Once that's off, give it a couple of hits, and then it should pull away from the spline. Look at that, easy. Once that's off, we can take the shroud off with a couple of screws, and then we can set apart the main part of the dashboard. If you don't know what you're doing, it is worth taking photos so you know how everything goes back together. But as I said, these cars are really simple and easy to work on, so it shouldn't be too hard. A couple of 10mm screws at either side. Once those are out, there's a couple of hidden ones underneath, and then it should separate from the bottom part of the dashboard. Now we just need to remove any part of the wiring loom that's on the bottom of the dashboard. Once that's all out the way, it should just pull away from the frame. Careful not to damage any plugs or wires, as they all have to work when it goes back in the car. A few more little clips and screws. Once it's out the way, put it aside, ready to be cut up later on once the cage is installed. Final part of the interior to remove is the carpet. Unadjust the handbrake, and then it should just pull up from the floor.
Alright. More room for more activities.
So this is what we are left with. The dash is looking pretty grim, but it is all part of the build. Trust me.
And that is the interior done, I think. All stripped out, ready. Just need to get it on the ramp now. We're going to get the suspension out, get the engine out, ready to freshen up a bit.
I'm going to tackle the rear axle first, as that is the easiest. Everything is getting replaced with new parts, mainly the brakes for racing, as they're probably worn out anyway. Once I've got the wheels off, I can get that drum off and remove the brake shoes. 1 T30 bolt. Once that's removed, give it a tap with a hammer and it should come off. I've got a few spring clips to take off, then the shoes should come away from the back plate. Similar to the dashboard, if you have a bad memory or don't know how they work, take a photo before disassembly. Here I'm clamping the brake flexi hose so we don't lose any brake fluid, although we will be putting race fluid in when it all goes back together. The ABS sensor just clips off the axle, then I'm removing the brake pipe from the car. Once that's out of the way, I just have this wheel cylinder to take off with 1 bolt.
Corroded.
Final bit to get the back plate off is remove the 4 bolts for the wheel bearing. When you get those out, lather the hub in WD-40 as they're very tight to the car and can be rusted to the hub. As you can see here, I'm hammering away with a punch. I'm trying to hit it here without damaging anything, as it has got to go back on the car, but we are getting a new wheel bearing, so that's not to worry about. Finally, when that's out the way, I can tackle the axle. A little plate to take off at the front, 1 bolt for the handbrake cable, and then 1 bolt for the shock absorber, and the spring should come out once it's let down. And then same on the other side, that little plate to take off, handbrake cable to take off, and that 1 bolt on the shocker. Easy work. 2 19mm bolts at either side of the axle. Once those are out, it should just come down nice and easy. Try and get someone to give you a hand to take it out, as it can be quite heavy. Lee's away on holiday, so I used 2 transmission jacks, which did the job just as well.
Alright,
And there's the rear axle off the car. I'll give it a clean around the arches before it goes back in, but for now it can be sent off to Quality Coating Surfaces Northeast for a clean up. I'm getting them sandblasted, then coated in black to make it look fresh out the box again. Oh lad, absolutely melting John in here today. If you are building one of these, then really you want to find one with the lowest mileage, rust-free example you can find. If it's got 100,000 miles on, just keep looking, there's better examples out there. I found mine, I think I got it for 1,300 quid, but if you look on eBay, you're going for like, I don't know, you can get some for 600-700 quid, really cheap cars to do. You don't want to be bought new parts on the car that's going to crumble or fall apart when you're racing, so do the best you can to have a look, make sure you check it over properly and find a good example to put all these new parts on that you're going to have. And then the car lasts longer when you do it as well. Yeah, I guess get back to it.
next up I think probably front hubs and engine bed, but I think I need to take the exhaust off first. So yeah, like the rear, they're getting shot blasted and powder coated. Again, if you're doing the racing, you don't need to do this, but I want to make sure it's all nice and fresh for the race. Let's get started.
This pea-shooter exhaust is another simple job. One clip for the lambda sensor, unclip it from the bracket, and there's 2 14mm bolts what hold it to the cat. One rubber in the centre to take off, and then a couple at the back, and it should just drop down. Time to get them hubs off. Remove the split pin from the track rod end, lather it with WD-40, and it's a 17mm nut to get it off. Once that's off, give it a light tap with a hammer and it should separate from the hub. Easy! Now the drive shaft nut. Spin that bad boy round, then we can get to the 2 bolts holding the caliper carrier on. When they are off, prise the caliper off the disc and get your favourite hammer to send that disc to the scrapyard. Easy! Remove the heat plate from the ABS sensor and unclip the wire from the hub. Now we can get to the pinch bolt for the shock absorber, a 19mm nut for the bottom arm, the wheel arches also have to come out to get the ABS sensor off. This is held in with clips and they're plastic and they can break, so be careful as these do need to go back in the car. Few bolts underneath will hold it to the under tray. Pull it away from the arch, and there's 12 years worth of dust on the floor. Lovely. Get that ABS clip off. Now we just need to get the bottom arm off, give it a couple of taps, use a bar to release it from the hub, get the drive shaft out, and then we can just tap away to get it off the shocker.
Voila!
And it's the same process on the other side. Everything you see me taking off the car is going to be replaced by new parts, kindly supplied by our sponsor D.WARD Automotive in Bishop Auckland. They've sent us out everything we need, such as the timing chain, clutch, bearings and bushes. If you're local to the area and need any automotive parts, don't hesitate to give them a call. They can also supply your car with paint. I'll put a link for their website below if you want to find out more. The rest of the parts are supplied by the C1 Racing Club, such as the extended arms, drive shafts, lawn springs and a few other bits. All details I'll put in the caption below if it is something that you're interested in building yourself, or even if you just want to have a look at. Right, back to the car. Get that 19mm nut off the bottom arm, release it from the hub, and then tap away like a maniac to get it off the shock absorber.
A few moments later.
One up.
Front axle up next. Remove the two upper bolts holding it to the chassis. One on each side. Drain the gearbox oil out so we can get them drive shafts out the way without getting fluid all over. I'm not draining the fluid on the floor here, I promise. Get them anti-roll bar links off the arms. It doesn't matter about damaging these, but we have new ones to be fitted. Tighten that drain plug back in. And then the drive shaft should prise out of the gearbox. Couple of bolts holding the engine mount in to the frame. Two bolts for the steering rack, one on each side. And that should be everything disconnected from the subframe. So remove the rear bolts from the car, then lower it down gently away from the chassis. And that, my friends, is how you remove the subframe. I've cable tied the steering rack up out the way to prevent it being damaged. And that's everything that we need off. It's getting powder coated. Happy days. Next up is getting these bumpers off. They have a few battle wounds, but nothing a quick sander won't sort out at the body shop. Like the rest of the car, these are another simple job. A few clips on both sides and gently pull it away from the quarter. A few bolts underneath. Get the clips off the other side. Then there's a few bolts on the top. Magic! Same goes for the rear. Two bolts at the top, a few clips underneath, and you can pull it away from the quarter. Not forgetting that sneaky hidden bolt behind the fuel cap. Pull it away from the frame of the car, nice and gentle, and then remove the wires for the number plate. Job is a good one.
Final thing I want to be taking off the car is the engine and gearbox. I want to replace the timing changes for peace of mind, and the clutch probably worn out. Might not have even been changed since it's new. We're going racing, so I want to do it fresh. So after that we can finally start putting bits on the car.
Right, so it's the final stretch now. First thing to get out is all the fluids. That's just the engine oil and the coolant, as I've already drained the gearbox oil. While those are draining, I can remove everything from the top of the engine, such as the airbox, throttle cable, fuel and vacuum pipes, get all the wiring loom off the engine. Take plenty of photos if you are doing this yourself. However, all the plugs only go into one sensor and they all have a place to go, so it isn't the hardest to assemble. Here I'm taking the loom off the back of the engine. It's held on with clips which pull out. Careful not to break those cheap plastic clips though. Once it's all unplugged, I can feed the loom away from the engine, out the way, and cable tie it up somewhere. Here I'm taking the radiator hose off, then I'm taking the battery clamp off so I can get the battery out of the way, and then the battery tray can come off. It's got a few bolts that hold it to the chassis. And that's pretty much all the wiring loom away from the engine. Lovely stuff. Always have a good check around the car like I am here. Make sure nothing's still connected or going to get in the way of the engine when we drop it down. Must also add, you don't need to do all this work to race the C1s. You can just buy the kit and bolt it all on. However, I'm making this car as mechanically perfect as possible so we can hopefully have no issues when we come to race day. Now I'm taking the underguard off so I can get the radiator out of the way so it doesn't catch on the engine when we're removing it. Once that's off, there's a few bolts on either side for the engine mounts. I'll put it on axle stance here. I do have an engine crane, but it is easier doing it this way, I think. And that's how you remove an engine from a Citroen C1. And just in time, the racing kit has also arrived from the C1 Racing store, as you can see in the boxes behind me. Now I have ordered a few extra parts which aren't mandatory for the race, but they do make it a better example once it's all complete. I'll go over the prices in another video, but for now, let's see what we've got. Extended bottom arms, fuel tank guard, brake pipe guard, extended drive shafts, ballast tray, track rod extensions, lawn springs, alloy wheels, with bolts, roll cage, extinguisher kit, foot guards, braided brake hoses, master switch panel, door cards. Before I rebuild the suspension, I need to get this time chain clutch done on this engine and get it back in the car. D.WARD Automotive have kindly sponsored us to do this race. They've supplied us with everything like a service kit, time chain, bearings, bushes. So if you're in the Bishop Auckland area, don't hesitate to call down and they can sort you out with any parts or even mix any paint that you need. Anyway, enough talking, let's make a start. So the first job is to remove the gearbox to get the engine on a stand. There's about 10 bolts around the bell housing and then a couple holding the starter motor on. Once those are out, I can pull it away from the engine. Normally extra hands would be helpful here, but luckily this gearbox is as big as a pencil case. There's 6 bolts holding the clutch plate on, and when those are out, I can pull it away from the flywheel. Easy work. Now it's on a stand, I can tackle the timing chain. First up is the coil packs to take out, then I can get to the spark plugs. We have new ones from D.WARD to go nicely back in on reassembly. When those are out, there's a few million bolts to take out the rocker cover. A box or tub does help so these don't get lost or misplaced. Now gently pull it away from the head. It's plastic, so careful not to crack it. And not forgetting the rocker seal.
Oh, they suck. What do I crock?
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
After I stopped crying about my wet crock, I managed to get the sump off. A load of 10mm bolts and then I can prise it off the block using a pry bar. Be careful not to tap this in too far or damage anything. We don't want it to leak when it goes back on. If by this point you are wondering why I'm wearing Crocs, well, it's because I broke my toe and these are the only things I can get on. Let's hope it gets better for race day, otherwise Lee is going to be on his own out there. Anyway, to get to the timing chain, we need the time chain cover off. As you can see, I've turned the engine to top dead centre and marked the points on the crank and camshafts. There are a few hundred bolts in the timing case. Again, keep these safe in the tub or box, it's a pain when you lose one. A few bolts hold the water pump on. That last bolt for the alternator. Now I can release the case from the engine. So now we have full access to the timing chain. The timing chain or belt is what keeps the crankshaft and camshaft synchronised. It coordinates the opening and closing of the engine valves, allowing air and fuel into the engine and exhaust gases out. If misaligned or not maintained, the engine may run rough or not at all, even worse, damage internal components. I did buy a timer tool for these to lock the engine, however it didn't come in time, so the marker pen has come out for a party. Once I'm happy the crankshaft is the top dead centre, I can release the tension from the tensioner and remove the gauge along with the chain. The exhaust sprocket is also to come off as we have a new one in the kit. Time to clean all that old sealer off, as we want no leaks when we apply the cover with the new sealant. This is the part of the video where we see I'm a true beginner at this video malarkey. My main camera runs out of battery and my GoPro has a cheap memory card which got me 0 footage. Lovely, I know. So as you can see here, when I eventually got my crap together, the new chain is on, the go marks have their place on all sprockets and we are good to go. Turn the engine over by hand when everything is tightened up to make sure it turns over without any issues or noises. Job's a good one. Now I can apply some sealer to the TAM chain cover and start assembling the engine back together. Basically putting everything on in reverse order. The TAM case being first, carefully push it onto the locator pins and put all the bolts back in place. When those are in, I can get the water pump on, then everything can be tightened up. Happy with those, I can get the alternator on its bracket. Tighten them bolts up. Pop the crank pulley on. Now the auxiliary belt. And we're ready to roll. New seal to go on the rocker cover to make sure it doesn't leak, and then it's all torqued up to spec. Get the new spark plugs in with the coil packs. Push the breather pipe on and that's the top of the engine done. Sealer applied to the sump, then it can be hauled back on the block. All bolts in place, then torqued up to spec. Now for the clutch. The flywheel is in decent nick, so that is staying on. Push the plate on the flywheel, then start all 6 bolts up. Tighten up when happy it's central. Some like using a clutch alignment tool, I prefer using my eyes, they've not let me down yet.
It works every time.
We have a new thrust burn to go on the gearbox, pull the old one off, give it a clean up and slide the new one on. Then it's time to bash it on that engine. It's easier with 2 people here, but Lee's still on holiday and I'm eager to get this back running. So I'll push it on, give it a wiggle, get it on the spline. Once it's fully made up with the engine, get all bolts started and tightened up. And there we have it all built back up. Thankfully, as it's late and well past my bedtime.
Alright, so it's the next day. Last night I stopped back and got the timing chain and clutch done. Engine's all ready to go there. I'll get it on the ramp and yeah, let's get back in the car.
So there's many ways of doing this, however I found this is the best way to get the engine in. There's loads of room from the bottom to drop the car down onto. Other garages may do it differently and let them crack on. Now the car's down, I can get the crane to lift the engine up, move it where it needs to be on the mounts and get the bolts started by hand. There's a couple on each side. Once they're fully tight, the crane can be put away. Now it's a case of attaching everything back to the engine in reverse order I took it off. Some vacuum and fuel pipes to go on the back there. A couple of water pipes. Bolt up the gear cables. Get the clutch cable on the arm and adjusted. And now it's time for that big wiring loom. It looks worse than what it is, but it ain't actually too bad on these cars. Every plug and clip has its place, it's just a case of routing it in the right direction. Them photos you took on disassembling will come in very handy now. That's about everything plugged in there. Last thing on the top there is the throttle cable I'm tightening up. Lovely, look at that. Few things missing, but we'll get them on later. With the car lifted up, there's 2 nuts to go on the alternator. When they're tight, get the cap on. Now the back of the engine, there's 2 wires on the starter motor. Then a couple of plugs to clip back in down the side there. In goes the radiator. We are putting a new one on for the race, I promise, but for now I need to get this thing moving so it's back on with the old one. It's a couple of bolts on each side. One pipe on the bottom to attach. One pipe on the top, and then plug the fans back in.
So that is the engine all bolted and wired in. I've left the battery tray out because we do need easy access to drill holes in the bulkhead to get the master switch in, the fire extinguisher kit in. So I'll leave that out for now, and the ECU is all sorted to go in. Just need to get some oil in, get some water in, and then we can crack on with the suspension. Let's go.
Supplied by D.WARD Automotive, I'm using 5W30 here.
Sweet.
And some nice fresh coolant.
Right, next up is the rear of the car. I'm going to get the axle in. I just need to press the bushes in the axle, and then hopefully it's not too bad of a job to get it in. So yeah, let's go.
If you check out the C1 Racing store online, they now have the PowerFlex bushes for both the rear axle and the front arms. They make the car a lot more stable on track and are easier to press in. Sadly, I didn't see them when ordering my goodies, so I went back in with the original bushes.
Voila!
And that's ready to go back in the car. Back onto the transmission jacks and put it up in place where it needs to be for the holes to line up. Once I've got the two bolts at the front of the bushes started, I can tighten them up and then start adding bits on. First being the lowering springs, make sure they're sat in place correctly, then I can get the lower shocker bolt in. Two bolts for this plate on either side, not sure exactly what this does, I'm guessing for strengthening. Then the handbrake label can slot into place. One 10mm bolt, and it's the same process for the other side. Now it's starting to take shape. It's definitely looking a lot better than what it did when we first got it in.
Stupidly, I have missed a few things while I was meant to order, one being the wheel bearing, shockers and a few other bits, but I need to get the car rolling, so these are going to go on for now, and then I'll take them off later and get them new ones put on. Just really need to get it rolling so we can start the interior. So yeah, get these on next. With the kit you also get these shims which go in the bottom of the hub to space the wheel out so you get camber. You need to put two at each, you get a couple of different sizes. We've ordered one mil because we didn't really know what we were getting. And yeah, it makes it better for track days or just cornering in general. So these have got to go between these and hopefully should space it out nicely. Have a bit of camber on the wheels. Try and get in now.
So feed the ABS wire through the axle, then it's just a case of slotting the shims in place and getting the 4 bolts started. It is easier said than done though.
Although they are a bit difficult to get in. Winning!
Once I'm happy all 4 started, I can fully tighten them up. Now it's time to fit the brakes on. Feed the handbrake cable through the back plate, pop the clip on the end, then tighten down the bracket to fix it to the axle. Clip the ABS wire and feed it back up into the car, not forgetting to plug it in later. There's one bolt to hold the wheel cylinder on. When that's tight, it's time to get the brake pipe on.
New shoes!
Again, this is where those photos come in handy if you've took any. I've done plenty of these over the years, but sometimes you still do forget how they go. I find the easiest way is connect the handbrake shoe up first, pop the spring on to hold it in place, then fit the other shoe and spring clips around it. Happy days, look at that.
Bobby Dazzlers.
Now we can get our fancy braided brake hoses on. These are direct buy from the C1 Racing store and they are a straight fit with no modifications needed. Once the back is connected up, we can join it up to the centre original pipes underneath. I always love getting brake fluid down my arm. Such a fun time I'm having here. If you haven't tried it, please do. So all the rear pipes are connected and I've assembled the passenger side and get the drums on and adjusted up nicely. Woo. Couldn't be any happier with that so far. It's definitely looking fresh compared to when we first got it in. It's starting to look like a race car now. And that's the rear all back together. There's a few other little bits I need. It's about 90% done, but it means I can get the wheels on and get it rolling. Now just time to crack on with the front. So the first task is assembling the anti-roll bar to the subframe. This has two bushes on either side with a clamp, plenty of rubber grease on these, and they fit on nicely to the frame with two bolts. When those are tightened up, we are ready to get this finally on the car. Fresh out the box. Before I get the frame on the car, I'm changing the oil filter as it's easier to access while I'm there. Once the old one is off, rub a smidge of oil on the seal and tighten it back to the car. Jack the frame up, making sure the steering rack lands in its place correctly, then it's just a case of starting all the bolts up by hand. Once I'm happy they're started, I can go ahead and tighten them with a gun. Big arm! Now onto the front arms. These have two bolts that hold it to the subframe, and these are supplied by the C1 Racing Club, which have a spacer making the wheels sit with positive camber, which is crucial for racing. When those are fully tight, I've got the lower engine mount to fasten up, a few bolts to the gearbox, then one big bolt to the subframe. And yes, I know, you can see there's another part I didn't order. Thankfully the bushes are good in this, so we'll do the job for now. I'd say that's a job well done, looking absolutely brand new.
So as you can see, subframe's all in now. I did want to get the bolts zinc coated, but we really haven't got the time, so I've just put the old ones in for now. They're pretty decent anyway. Yeah, it's looking absolutely mint. I'm over the moon with that. So we just got to get the hubs on now.
Sadly, I did lie, saying there's nothing left to strip off the car. The scuttle and wiper motor I forgot to remove, but not to worry, as it's another easy job on these. A few clips on each side, one nut for the wiper arm, and it will pull away from the window. When the plastic is out the way, there's a load of 10mm bolts holding the metal plate on. Then one plug for the wiper motor. This needs to be removed anyway to fit our fire hose points. Now that's done, there's one 18mm nut on each side holding the shockers up. Once they are out, I can bet them in the vise and get our new fancy lawn springs attached. Hell of a job, and then it's straight back on the car. Another job well done. Now onto the hubs. A great excuse to finally use my new press. When the bearings are pressed in place, there's a spring clip to add, and then I've just got to press the hub in, and then they are good to go. As good as new. I'm well happy with those. Time to get these bad boys on the car and get it rolling. First thing is to get it on the shocker and then tighten the pinch ball up.
Right, so we have these extended arms on, which is going to give the car a bit of camber. With those, you need these extended drive shafts, and then we also need to add the tracker end extensions, and then it all should tie in nicely. Have a little bit of camber, perfect for track days. Let's get them in.
Careful when pushing these into the gearbox, as the seal can easily be damaged, and we definitely don't want any leaks when racing flat out around Silverstone. Once that's in the hub, I can get the bottom arm on and tighten the nut up. Then I can fasten in the ABS sensor along with the heat plates.
window dash. So another thing I forgot to do is get these shock blasted and order some pads which are on the way. So for now, I'm just going to bolt these up on just so I can get it out and off the ramp.
So there's 2 bolts what hold the caliper, carry it to the hub, and then 1 bolt holding the bracket to the flexi hose. Now it's time for a bit of chop shop. We have tracker end extensions to go on, but first we have to remove the old tracker end with its locking nut. Measure 18mm from the end of the tracker arm and then cut the threads to make way for our new adapters. Once it's cut, apply some Loctite, then thread it onto the track arm, and then our new extensions can go on as normal, along with the tracker end. This needs tracking, which we will do later on, but for now we just want to get rolling. Once the nut is tightened, get a split pin in there and that's us done with one side. Not too bad, eh?
The final whoop.
If you are still watching by this point and are enjoying the content, then it would be a good time to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate all the feedback what we've had off the first video, it means so much. We have many more builds coming, just bear with me slow editing skills. And also, like our first video, all the music in this once again is by my brother's band, The Side Project. If you like what you hear, then don't be scared to check them out on all music platforms. The links will be below. And just like that, front is also complete. Look at that! It's a shame no one gets to see this when we race. Never mind, I'm over the moon with it.
And that's as much as I can do for today for the suspension and the brakes. I'd say it's about 95% there, still waiting for a few other bits coming. But for now I can get the steel wheels on as we are waiting for the tyres coming for the alloys, so we'll have to wait a bit, but we can get rolling for now anyway. Alright, and there we have it. Finally a rolling C1. I can't start it up yet, we sent the ECU away for tuning. That's the only modification you can do with a C1 Racing Cup. They send it away to get tuned. Other than that, you've got to keep the engine standard. So I'm really happy with how it's going. It's looking, finally starting to look like a car again. And now it's time to take on the interior of the car. That's the roll cage, fire extinguisher, refit the dash, everything else, all the safety equipment that we need. But before we crack on with the interior, I have a few little bits to sort out before Lee comes. Okay, so we have gearbox oil to go in. We've got the front pads to put in with new brake hoses. The ECU, which is back from tuning, it's got the little chip on, mandatory for the race. Rear boot lock, which is a push button compared to our poverty spec key. And yeah, let's go.
First easy job is the ECU. Once I got the car on the ramp, it has 3 bolts holding it to this metal frame on the bulkhead. Once those are fastened up nicely, there's 2 plugs which clip into the top of the ECU.
Perfecto.
This nut is the gearbox plug, hard to see but it's under the gear cables. When you remove it, this is where the gearbox oil is topped up from. You can either use a funnel or syringe like I am. Once it's all in, make sure you put the plug back on, and that's another quick job done. Onto the brakes now. So I've got endurance brake race pads to put in. These can only be ordered from the C1 Racing Club, specifically for the endurance racing. Here I'm removing the caliper and carrier as I want to clean them up as they're looking a bit shabby.
Gave these a little freshener with the carriers. They aren't mint, but they're better than what they were, so yeah, I'm happy with them.
And now I can get them on the car. 2 bolts what hold the caliper carrier on. Tighten the nose, then get the pads in, along with the caliper.
Nice.
Those right there are our new braided brake hoses, again ordered from the C1 Racing store, which will finish the brakes off just nicely. One bolt to the caliper, one to the shocker, then connected up with the original brake pipes on the car. And not forgetting the retaining clip.
Alright, the brakes all bolted back together. I just need to get them bled. They're looking 1,000 times better painted. I've just hand painted them, but it's better than what it was. I still need to get some shockers, which are still on the way. I might do them in the next video, but yeah, I can get the brakes bled up now. Last little piece I'm going to do is this push button lock. As you can see, ours is poverty spec. So I'm going to put this bad boy on because it's mandatory for the race, presuming it's a safety feature. But yeah, let's get on.
Highlighted on the C1 regulations, it says the tailgate must be opened by the button or pull cable. I managed to get this off eBay for a few quid. My guess is if you crash and you can't access the doors, the boot will need to be opened easily. When doing any cup or endurance racing, you want to read through all of the regulations. Make sure you have your car to their standard, otherwise they may not allow you to race, which will be a sad day.
Alright.
Now it's all complete, it's finally time to get that cage in. It is looking very bare in there, but there is a lot of the kit to go in. A roll cage is a protective frame built into the car to protect the driver in the event of an accident, especially a rollover. You see time to time in racing, some worse than others. Ultimately, it's the device that will save you if you are unfortunate to be involved. First thing we need to do is drill off the upper strut mount. It has 4 spot welds holding it on, then there's 2 tabs on either side of the dash frame. Now Lee is here to give me a hand. We can dry fit the cage into its position to see whereabouts it needs to be. The back piece goes in first, then build the rest around it, starting with one side at a time. When the back is in, we can mock up the side and top bars, seeing where it needs to be and mark the area we are going to weld the footplates to. Once we're happy with the marks, it's time to take it back out to tack weld the plates in place. If you're doing this at home, get used to removing the cage as you have to do it 3 or 4 times. It is worth it in the end though, trust me. Now it's out, we have to drill where our boards are going to go into the chassis. Whilst I'm doing that, Lee's removing the paint from the areas we need to weld to make sure it sticks well. And back in with the cage we go. Bolt everything on as normal, making sure it's sat where it needs to be, because if it's not lined up properly after you weld the plates on for good, then it may not go back in properly when you install it for the last time.
Yeah, go for it. Oh yeah.
Time to tack weld them base plates in. You only need a bit of weld on each side for the plate, then you can remove the cage and get them fully welded up and painted. And all was going so well until this happened.
Oh no, it ran away. Oh no, that's not a different phone, man. Alrighty then.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Great. Right, it's Monday, got some welding wire. We had to abandon ship on Sunday because we ran out. Stupid. Never mind. But yeah, can start tacking the feet in place and then get the cage fully welded in now. Let's go.
Back to the tack welding we go. Like I said earlier, you only need a bit to hold the plate on each side, then the cage can be removed to gain better access to weld it up fully. Once I'm happy those are in place, we can undo the bolts for the cage and get it stripped out again. I'd say now is a good time to tell you about the music I'm using in today's video. All the tracks are from my brother's local band, the Side Project. If you want to give them a proper listen, the links to their Spotify and Apple Music will be below. Then we also have D.WARD Automotive, who have kindly sponsored us to do this race. They've supplied us with many parts such as the service kit, the clutch, the timing kit and much more. If you are local to the Bishop Auckland area and need any parts or paint mixing for your vehicle, don't be afraid to pop in and get a good deal. Back to the car, as you can see I managed to get the floor plates welded in, now the cage can be fitted for the last and final time. Thankfully, as me and Lee were really sick by this point. And we really do need to get moving because testing the T-side is only a few days away. When all the bars are in place, tighten all the nuts and bolts up fully, making sure that the wiring loom is on the inside of the cage and not trapped on any bars. Job's a good one. Sadly, race cars can also catch fire sometimes. In the event of this happening is the reason why we fit safety items like fire extinguishers. Like this one from Demon Twigs, it comes with the bottle, a pull cable for inside and out the car, some pipe and nozzles to plumb into the car. Our regulations state that the bottle has to be behind the passenger seat area. So first off, we mark the holes where the bracket will fit, then drill and bolt down the frame to the floor of the car. Whilst we are in that area, we also fitted our race receiver bracket onto the rear seat frame. Same process, mark the holes, drill and then bolt it up to the back. This will be connected to race control on the day on a direct channel so we can listen out for any notifications or orders. When that's done, we bolt in the bottle, making sure that the label is upright for the date to be shown and the tap exit is where we want it for the pipes. My trick is to use some rope to measure where and how long the pipe is going to be, then cut to size. Similar to brake pipes, not everyone does it this way, but I've found it the easiest so there's no waste pipe. And whilst I got that done, Lee managed to bolt the 3D printed grommet to the firewall.
And it's the next day. We did have a late one last night. Tried to get as much done as we can, but it's just taken absolutely ages. So yeah, we've got the cage in, got a few pipes in with a fire extinguisher, managed to get the race receiver in, a few more bits to do. As you can see, cage is all in there, got everything bolted up. We still have the door bars to put on, which should go across the side there. But we have fire extinguishers in place, all bolted down with the bracket, race receiver, which we just need to put pipe wires on to tie up to the cage, and then we're on with a plumbing at the minute, which is taking absolutely ages. Yeah, a few more to go on these, and then we can pipe it up to the front on the bulkhead where the wipers are.
From the C1 stores our pull cable bracket. This will hold the master switch cable and the fire extinguisher cable. I just need to mock it up where it's going to go on the scuttle, mark the holes and then drill them out. When I'm happy, I can start drilling away. 2 holes for the bracket and 2 for the cables to feed into the grommet in the car. Tightened up, I can now fit the 3 nozzles onto the scuttle. You don't have to bolt them on here like me. Some like to make brackets and have them further in the engine bay. I decided this way would look the neatest and most practical, as I had one aiming at the battery electrics, another at the fuel pipes and one on the far side of the engine. When I've drilled the holes, just pop them in and then tighten the nut up. All 3 done, I can fit this back to the car. There's about 6 10mm bolts. It's a nice straightforward job. And if you are still watching by this point and have enjoyed our other videos, now would be a good time to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We are still starting out, but we appreciate all the support we've had so far. It means so much. Thank you all. Now that's in place, it's just a case of cutting the pipes to length and fitting the nozzles to the T-pieces, making sure none of the pipes have kinked. And I'd say that's a job well done if you ask me.
Right, finally all plumbed up, that's the fire extinguisher kit done with. Just going to put the wiper motor in, get the scuttle back on, and then we can start putting the dashboard back together.
Feed the wiper motor wires through the metal with the grommet, plug it into the motor and then tighten the two bolts up. When that's done, I can cut the pull cable pipe to size to match it up to our bottle inside the car. Now it's a case of feeding the pipes through our C1 bracket, through the firewall grommet into the inside of the car. The master switch cable going to the dash and the fire one going to our bottle. After those are tightened up, the plastic covers could go back on, clipped into place with the bonnet rubber and the washer pipe. Then the wiper arm can also be attached. All we have to do now is feed the pull cable wire through the pipes, although it can be a pain sometimes. Don't mock it till you've tried it.
A few moments later.
Come on. Away.
I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
So, do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can track him, maybe not mine.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do this.
Once I had 2 hours to cool down, I eventually got the cable fed through the pipes and cut it and nip it up to our bottle. So now I'm going to tackle the electrics of the car. This is where it starts to get a bit more technical, so stay with me here. All the build notes are on the website for this, however if you aren't 100% sure, get an auto electrician on the job. So firstly I'm bolting our rubber grommet to the battery base. This is what we are going to bolt our positive wires to because we need a master switch that can cut the power to the car at any moment. The master switch works by cutting the engine off in case of emergency by slicing into our ignition wires, operated by a switch inside by the driver or the pull cable we fitted to the scuttle earlier for marshals. Here I've bolted the battery tray back on as well as the fuse box so I can start feeding some cables through our grommet in from the firewall. The master switch needs 2 wires running to and from the battery which will be put on the positive post. When I'm happy I've gave myself enough length of cable, I can put some heat shrink on, cut the end and put a new terminal on ready to clamp up. Once clamped, I can heat shrink the end to tidy it up, then repeat the same process for the other wires. Whilst I'm messing about with that, Lee's giving the interior clean out, then fitting our foot plate. This just fastens up with rivets. That smartens the place up. Back to the wiring. Once I have all the new terminals clamped and heat shrinked, I can bolt it to the rubber post we put on earlier. The battery can be put back in place, clamped in and the positive terminal fastened to the wire, but not to the battery yet as we have more wires to cut. Lovely stuff. Onto the inside of the car now. I have to cut into the ignition wire, which is the blue one here. Then as you can see on the build notes, we need 2 wires from our master switch and then we can cut the wire and put the new connectors on and run some cable along the dash. Happy with them connections, I can start cutting the dashboard so it fits around the roll cage. There's a few different ways people do this. This was my first go and it didn't go too badly. As I'm playing Chop Shop, Lee is fitting our new door cards which have also been cut to shape for the cage. How nice do they look? Time to get the dashboard back in. Same way it came out, the button goes in first, then the top pushes on, making sure it's bolted up and all the wires are where they were.
Alright, cool, so the dashboard is all in, good as I can get it really. Just need to get the radio back in with the master switches and the pull cable for the fire extinguisher. So I think that's next and then that might do for today.
Lee managed to escape the dreaded wiring and fitted our mandatory toe straps, 2 on the rear and 2 in the front. As you can see, we have our 2 main positive wires from the battery, 2 from the ignition switch and then an extra which goes to the resistor and then to earth. This is because when you cut the power to the car, the alternator is still putting out power.
that power needs to go somewhere, which is the resistor in this case. Thankfully, that's all the wiring done. Like many mechanics, I hate it too, but needs must. Now it's just a case of bolting it up to our switchboard and giving it a try. Fingers crossed I've got this right or something may blow, which could be my head.
Right, I'm going to try a quick test, see if it works. Sweet. I know. All right. Cool. Jobs are good. Get back in the car now. Watch on this.
Must have been a very good day if something electrical works after I've touched it. Anyway, the panel bolts to the original part of the lower dash. When the bolts are tight, I can feed our pull cable for the fire extinguisher in there too.
Deck.
In goes in all the original items, such as this heater control, which has just a couple of screws to hold it to the frame.
Ready to listen to some rave on this bad boy?
Then our radio with the hazard and demister switches.
Ready now?
One screw to hold that in, then I can cut the pull cable for the master switch. Feed the cable through, then bolt it up to our switch panel. Top job. And now the lower gear sticks around can be put back on, not forgetting the clip to our fire nozzle hose pipes. One bolt will hold that to the floor and then that's another job done. As you can see, all the pipework for the extinguisher is complete, so that's a quick hoover and the handbrakes around can be fitted, with just 2 bolts will hold it to the floor. And apart from the steering wheel which hasn't rocked up yet, the dashboard is all complete, which I'm over the moon with. The last little job of the day is the ballast tray, 4 bolts holding it to where the passenger seat would go, and this is to carry any weight if we need it on the race day. Whilst I went and picked the bumpers up, Lee managed to get the new shock absorbers on, which really has completed the suspension finally. And the bumpers are looking quality thanks to Jump High Motors at Tyndale and Bishop Auckland.
First thing I want to do is get the bumper on. There's a couple of clips to go up the top, a couple on the side, get the number plate lights in, and then put these out the way. Nice cable tied up somewhere on the back. Yeah, let's go. I think I'm going to chuck a couple of bulbs in, just to make sure.
Once I wired up the lights, the bumper can be fitted back on the car. It clips on either side of the back quarter panels, and it has a few bolts and clips on each side. When that's all fastened up, I have the toe straps to cable tie up out the way so they aren't dragging on the floor. I've drilled a couple of holes on the bumper to get them out the way nice and neatly. And that's the rear bumper all complete. Now to start fitting the huge 3.5-inch stainless exhaust pipe. Sadly, I'm just kidding, it's got to be standard.
Absolute powerhouse exhaust. High performance machine. Oh, it's gonna make some sound with this bad boy. Is it not? Oh.
When the back box is on the rubbers, the pea shooter centre pipe can be attached with 2 bolts holding it to the cat.
FT. FT.
And then the lambda sensor to refit.
This is how we do it.
Last thing is the rear clamp, which has 2 bolts. Remember, I did say these cars are really easy to work on, as you can see.
Woo! Time for the underguards. I've got the fuel tank guard to go on there, the big one, and then this one is the brake pipe guard. Hopefully stop my brake pipes bursting when I come off the track. Man. This little guard comes with self-tapper bolts which come from the kit from the C1 store. They simply drill into the chassis and subframe. Next job is the new radiator. As you can see, ours looks a little tired. It does still hold water, but we are going to be putting this car through its paces and we don't want it to fail, so it's time for a new one. Thanks again to D.WARD Automotive. If you don't know by now, they've sponsored us to do this race, supplying us with everything from the clutch to the wheel bearings. If you're in the Bishop Auckland area and need any automotive parts or paint, hit them up. The link to their site will be below. And the last shout out is to my brother's band, The Side Project, which is who you're listening to now and having all previous episodes. You can find their tunes on all music platforms online and the links will be below. I will need music for upcoming videos in the future, so if you are an unsigned band and have an album or a few tunes you like to use, don't be afraid to hit me up. And just like that, the radiator is on. Now to get that freshly painted bumper on without scratching it. Same as the rear bumper, it clips to both sides, then has a few bolts on the top and bottom. Not forgetting to cable tie those toe straps up neatly. And that's both bumpers done, looking absolutely fresh. Last thing I want to do while it's on around is just put this little bracket on for the lap timer, which goes on the wheel arch with 2 bolts. So yeah, let's get on. You can pick these up fairly cheap. I got mine from Murray Motorsport online. It comes with the charger and the plate to bolt it to the car. If you're doing cup racing, then you'll definitely need one. It tracks your time throughout the race. Ideally, you'll want to bolt it near the front wheel arch.
Alright, so it's the next morning. We stopped back late last night, got a few bits done. Got the bumpers on, the exhaust, the brake pipe underguard, front bumper, radiator. All we've got left to do this morning is put the seat in, harness, steering wheel, and then yeah, give it a good wash, and then we've got T-side this afternoon, so I'll best get a move on. I've just decided I'm going to put these on. These are the underguards, will go in the wheel arch. So I'm going to chuck them in just so it keeps it nice and fresh and we don't get any debris flicking around all over, and it's a bit more aerodynamic. Yeah.
These plastic guards are just held on with pushing clips and a few bolts at the front to go on the bumper. Both front runs are fastened up there, there isn't any on the rear, so I can get the wheels on and set about finishing this interior.
Right, so we're missing a seat. We're going to get the plate on, then the rails, and then seat can go in, harness, steering wheel, bosh. These pegs to the harness I've already put in. They just have a plate on the bottom and then a screw-in hook. Just screws in. I'll put 2 in there, 1 in the original seatbelt anchor and then 1 on the side here. And then the 2 for the back, because we have a 6-point harness. They're just strapped to the back of the cage. Yeah, so first up, get the plate in. Right, that's all in. I can get the rails on now.
So the base plate I managed to get from Demon Twigs. It's an SW Motorsport one, which is a straight fit to the bolt holes on the original seat anchors. The seat rails I had lying around off an old track car, but you can get them from Demon Twigs or eBay too.
Frame's all in, now we can put the seat in. Okay, let's go.
This Cobra seat is also off my old track car, but like the rails, you can get them cheap off many places. They do have a date on them, so make sure it's not expired, as come race day they won't allow you to hit that tarmac if so.
Here's a goal. Like a glove. Right, that's all in. Now we can get the steering wheel and the boss on. And it should be finished.
The boss and steering wheel we also bagged from Demon Twigs. There's plenty of different types and makes you can get, it's all about personal preference really. The boss fits on the original spline of the steering column. We have a couple of wires to clip on for the horn, then the steering wheel can be bolted up to the boss.
Well, the only thing left to do now is fire it up. Master switch on. Woo! Oh, sounds just like a standard C1. Never mind.
Lovely stuff. I'm over the moon with how it's looking now.
And I'd say that is ready for testing. I've got the spare wheels on, we've got the new ones to go on there. I've left the door bars off because I'm going to have to swap the seat for a new one because I just realised mine's out of date, so we're going to get Lee's on there.
A good polish up and it looks like a new car altogether. Even on the black wheels, it definitely looks the part. There's still a couple of bits to sort out, but that can wait as we have to head to Teesside and give it a good blast out. As we got there late, we wasted no time in heading out. So Lee jumped in first to get it warmed up and see what this beast could do, or at least make sure it drove okay without the wheels falling off. After a good few laps, we came back in to let the car cool down, then it was my turn to take out the powerhouse. First few faults we had was the bigger wheels were catching the arches, which wasn't a concern as we wouldn't be using those on race day. The other fault we found was the steering wheel needed straightening, but other than that, everything was pretty much sweet.
There we have it, we've tested it at Teesside. Me and Lee's had a good few laps round. We've not given it a big blast out, but we've given it, put it under its paces just a little bit to test everything. Really happy with the car, it's performed really good. It's getting the stickers on tomorrow, so I'm just going to give it a quick wash off, and then Silverstone on Saturday. Alright, so it's the next day. Teesside yesterday was an absolute dream with the car. It ran amazing, really couldn't be happy with it. The wheels were catching the arches, and the steering wheel was a little out, but other than that, it ran a dream. When we got back, we did have a few things to sort out, like the bonnet pins, put the door bars in, swap the seats and the wheels, and then a few other little bits, I think. And then it's been over to the guys at Creative Graphics in Bishop Auckland to get our logos and sponsors put on. And yeah, I guess the only thing left to do now is show you our beast of a C1 Cup racing car. I'm absolutely buzzing with how this has turned out. It's been a right mission. To some it's a crappy C1, and they'd be right, it is a C1. But it's my crappy C1, one that I spent building, learning, making memories with friends, having fun, which is ultimately what we're trying to do here. It's all for a race series which I've never done before, and I've always wanted to do, so yeah, I'm just really, really happy right now, and I just want to, yeah, I just want to have as much fun with it as possible as we can. Right. Now, for those who are watching, they maybe want to try this themselves or even are curious just to how much we spent doing the car. Here's a rundown of the figures and the budget. So the car I got for 1,300 quid, and although you can get them a lot cheaper, I just wanted the lowest mileage one I could find at the time. They do go for about 700, 800 quid on eBay if you have a look. Just make sure those sills are really good. The cage kit, the wishbones and other mandatory items I got for £2,812. Spent £440 on 6 tyres and then £430 on 6 alloys, which really you could buy 4, but you do need 2 spare. And then there's the labour cost, which I'd say that's pretty much free because it's fun, right?
He's the best. Love it.
So obviously there is a service kit and other bits I got, which I got from D.WARD Automotive. They've helped us out massively with the build. If you are doing a similar race, then I suggest getting a sponsor and doing exactly like I did. Supply you with a timing chain, clutches, everything that you need, because it really does help with the build. If not though, however, they are really cheap to run, so I would set aside maybe about £300 for maintenance. All in all, £5,282 for a race car, which really ain't that shabby if you ask me. A small cost for a lot of fun, which can be halved if you go half with the car with someone and then building it together, it works out a lot cheaper. Because to do this cup race, you do need 2 drivers. So I have split a lot of these costs with Lee, which really does help when you come to do it. You think your numbers are quite steep. Ultimately, when the car is done, you can have as much fun with it as you want. You can take it to your local track like we did. We took it to Teesside, which is only £80 for the day. You don't specifically have to enter a championship like we did. You can just take it around the track or out on the road if you get it taxed. Or you could even sell it at the end of it and get all your money back and then just gain the experience of having fun and learning along the way. Anyway, I think I've done enough talking. I think it's time to get this bad boy loaded up and head to Silverstone. Let's go!
So we hit the road on Friday afternoon and landed at Silverstone on the night. Unloading the car and then got it straight into the pit over to get the car weighed and checked in. Then we got our heads down for the night as it was an early start in the morning. Welcome to Silverstone, the last race of the C1 Cup Championship for 2024. We walked up late to the party, missing practicing on Friday as teams were already underway making changes and preparing. We had a small team of 4, me, Lee, Corey and Aaron, who's the cameraman for the day. You'll see him giving a hand during the pit stops. A small team to many, but we had a lot of audacity on our side. The first job we had to do was give the car a check over before it headed to scrutineering to get an official safety check. If they found anything wrong with the car, we would only have a few hours to sort it out before the race, so things were very tense at this point. As we headed in, they checked the car over and our race gear. Thankfully, we got that golden ticket to go. One less thing to stress about, it was back to the pits with the advisory of a brake light not working and the seatbelts to readjust in the correct way. And if that's all I picked up on, I'm a happy man.
When it's our first time, we knew he's 200 quid. Get your dollar trick.
We managed to readjust the seatbelts with Liam as we decided he was going out first to qualify for us. Qualifying is a 50-minute session which all drivers have to do. The fastest time gives you the grid position for the actual race. Seatbelts are done, we set about putting the bulbs in, which nearly knocked myself out doing so. Last check over everything and make sure the wheels are tight, as it was time to get ready to go and qualify. Sadly, our time didn't matter for us as rookies because the new entries of the series start at the back. But we needed to practice anyway as we haven't even been out on the track yet. So the nerves were still high. As we waited in the queue, ready to head out, we were very thankful of the weather as it couldn't have been a better day. And just like that, Lee headed out to qualify. On the live timing, we could see he was doing really great and getting better with every lap. After 30 minutes, it was time to swap over and let me tear the place up. I'm just kidding, you can see coming up that I nearly lose it in the first corner heading out. And that would have been great for content losing there, but definitely not my street cred. So I'm thankful I kept it under tarmac and got on with qualifying, or should I say practice, as well, I really didn't know the track. Time went quick and I came into the pits as the qualifying was soon over with. All we needed to do now was check the pressure of the tyres, decide which tyres we were going to use for the race, make sure all the oils were bang on, and then Corey rubbed the car better where someone hit me in qualifying. Poor thing. Then the wait was no longer. It was time to head to the grid where I was going to do the first half of the driving. The nerves really were kicking in now. A long walk to the back where Lee, Corey and Aaron met up with me to check I didn't need new underwear and give me a last bit of advice, which was to not go the wrong way. Cheers lads. This really was it. All the late nights and hard work all come down to this right here. A dream come true for me.
Buckled in, but make sure that's buckled in properly because you just said you have to leave the grid. Just I'd tighten it right up now. Pins out.
Yeah, okay.
Right, good luck.
Creep out.
Control to drivers. This is a radio check. Control to drivers. This is a radio check.
Come on, let's go.
Control all drivers. Green flag. Green flag.
All cars were in place. There was only one thing left to do, and that was race from a rolling start. So here it went. One lap to get some heat in the tyres and the race was on. On the first couple of laps I managed to gain a few spaces out of sheer adrenaline. Everything was going really well by this point. Time to head to the pits to swap drivers as I was starting to make silly mistakes. And this is where our unrehearsed pit stopping came into play, and we heavily relied on our new pals from Emax Motorsport and 3 Spark Racing to give us a hand. As I came in, Lee wasn't ready and I didn't know I had to make more pit stops.
Do your belt. One lap, Jamie, one lap. Don't touch the car. He's going to do one lap, come back in. Driver, when you go out, do your Q tag. Right, yeah. Well done, mate. Get over the shoulder.
This is what they call a dummy pit stop. The driver gets out and back in, replicating a driver change. So it was back out for another lap and things were really heating up now as the race was well underway. My time was up, it was over to Lee to give it the beans. Maximum credit to the Emax Motorsport guys as they were running their team as well as helping us Goonies out who really didn't have a clue. They lended us the correct fuel drum, lead weights, overalls and other things we couldn't have raced without, so big shout out to them. Sadly, as Lee headed out, the car had crashed and rolled badly, so he patiently waited as the safety car was out for about 40 minutes. When the safety car came in, it was game on. Lee wasted no time in gaining spaces. He was absolutely flat out doing a belter job. Even having a bit of frisk with other drivers. As the race went on, it was time for the fourth and last pit stop we had to do. I'd like to say we were more prepared this time to refuel the car, but honestly we weren't. As Lee didn't know we were going to refuel, we got a penalty for doing so with the driver still in the car. Never mind, we laughed about it later. All the teams were doing absolutely amazing. It was mental just to be a part of it. Lee went back out and continued smashing that tarmac up. And before we knew it, the checkered flag was out and the 3 hours were up.
Coming away from Silverstone last year, we gained some tips, tricks and pointers for the other teams there in the pits, which really helped us out. So it would be rude for us to not try these out and see how we get on. The first being the gearbox. So we've learned that the pre-2010 model C1s have a slightly better gearbox for racing, mainly third gear as it is a longer ratio. With our car being 2011, it does have the later gearbox. So I managed to bag this off another race team. Shout out to Stephen Keller at Calamity Motorsport, he gives us this for 50 quid. Absolute bargain.
He also sorted us with some spare wing mirrors and an engine. Hopefully we won't need that though.
Right, Lee's here to give us a hand. Going to start taking it apart, going to put it on timer, see how quick we can do it, just to give us a rough idea of if we ever need to change on the race. Starting now.
So as you can see, I started stripping the parts off underneath whilst Lee tackled the top of the car, removing the battery, gear cables, clutch cable and so on. A big thanks to Aaron who came down to film with the camera too.
Just under 7 minutes.
Oh lad, we're going to have done this in 10 minutes.
That was your target, 10 minutes? I was going to say it.
Bit ambitious. Once everything was unbolted from the top, we could lift it up and remove the rest of the things, such as the drive shafts, engine mounts, starter motor, and all the bellows and bolts. Oh, we're flying here. We're doing great, doing great.
What's your realistic target? Let's have it right. I'll tell you whereabouts you are.
Half an hour? Yeah.
You're sitting at 14 minutes now.
Oh, that'll be half an hour. With all the bolts undone, the gearbox could be removed and we just had to swap a few bits onto our brand new second-hand one. No time to waste, straight back in with a new one as time was ticking. Then it was just a case of putting it back together in the order that it came apart.
What time do you think you're on?
15 minutes?
Yeah.
It's very unlikely we would do this on a 3-hour race, but it was a bit of fun to time it and get a rough estimate. We would, however, have extra hands on race days, so it would also be a lot quicker if we need be. Lee was finishing getting the top built back up, I just had the bottom arms to sort out, and we managed to get it all back in around the 43-minute mark, which isn't too bad at all for two very tired guys. A new battery was also installed, courtesy from our sponsor D.WARD Automotive. They've helped kit this car out and can help with yours too. If you're in the Bishop Auckland area, hit them up for any automotive parts or paint that you need. Back to the car, we had the general maintenance to do before Silverstone. I started with doing an oil change and then putting the fuel tank guard back on. Top to spec. Get on. Whilst I put the gearbox oil in, I forgot to do earlier, Lee said about putting a new water pump on. So I was meant to put Miller's motorsport oil in, but I forgot to do orange, didn't I? So oh, yeah. High level of stress, slow jaw recovery.
Shut up, does it say that?
Time to relax until you're fully recharged. Just having a stressful time here. I'm not going to make it a race day. How you winning? Should have made you a cuppa. Do you want a cuppa?
Now you ask.
No, it's a bit past cuppers now, innit? I'm not sleeping.
I've got decaf.
Decaf tea?
Ah, yeah.
You're joking.
I'm not actually, it's class. I'll sit and drink tea all day, mate, and then I'll start on decaf on a night. So I'm about 5 or 6 on a night.
What did you have the other day?
20. I'm not joking, I'm going, mate. Guys have like a box of tea bags in a week.
You need to get
like,
one then.
Take the bolt out, kettle on. Put the bolt back in, kettle on.
How many clients do you get through in a day? One.
With the new water pump and belt on, all that was left to do was put the engine oil in and call it a night. Alright, so it's the next day. Last night we stopped back, we got the gearbox in, changed all the fluids, got the water pump on with the new belt and then the underguard put on. We did time ourselves just as a bit of fun, see what we could do, although I had a chippy tea so I was sweating a bit, which is not ideal. But I think all we've got left to do today is change the indicator stalk, squib and then an inside wing mirror to put on. But yeah, it was good practice last night, although on the 3 hours we wouldn't really be able to change the gearbox. It It'll probably be something we'll have to do on the 24-hour. And we're missing Corey, which is on our team, which would have been quicker. And we've got a new member of the team, Owen, who was Lee's apprentice, who would be able to give us a hand now. So at Silverstone, we've got a strong team of 5. If we don't win, there's definitely something wrong. But yeah, I'm going to get this off the ramp now, finish the interior, then we'll give it a good clean out. It does need a wash because it's absolutely minging off the last time. And then one more trick up our sleeve, which is taking it to Rab Motorsport over at Workington. It's going to set the car up properly, but I'll talk more about that later. So let's get it off the ramp. So the plan is to fit a new indicator stalk. Got a new one here from Stephen Kell, Calamity Motorsport. Basically, I'll show you what the crack is. Now, I don't know if you can see, but don't need to start the car. Ignition on, lights on, fog light, not working. But sometimes does. It's gonna have me up if you push it in sometimes. Nah, it's not working at all now. Hopefully, that's gonna replace it and fix the job. I have already took it apart just to make sure all the wires and everything was connected so like I said, everything else works apart from that. Oh, I do also have where are we at? An inside wing mirror, a longer one, so hopefully we can fit this up on here somewhere, but I've just had a try and I think the bracket might be a bit too thick, but we shall see. Right, let's get started.
This was a pretty straightforward job, as is with more things on these cars. First, remove the steering wheel, then the steering boss, which is held on with one nut. Get the plastics out the way with a couple of screws, then once unplugged, the squib can be pulled away from the steering column.
Should be able to try it now, I think. Yes, winning.
We have fog light. I can now assemble it all back together, only we also have a rev counter to fit up, kindly supplied by Calamity Motorsport.
If you do buy a poverty spec one like ours, you do have the plug already on the wiring loom for the rev counter, and then all it does is just have one bolt there which goes around there, and then it should slide on and go around there, just like that.
If you like the music you're listening to, it's because I handpicked them from local bands, along with nearly all the other tracks on this episode. This one is by Circuit 68, and the others are from the side project. They are both on Spotify and all other music platforms. Make sure you give their albums and singles a blast. All the links are going to be in the caption below. With the steering all back together, I can now set about the big interior mirror we have. It has 2 brackets to bolt on either side of the cage. And that looks good to me.
I did also say some fake news saying that you need a race seat which is in date, which is completely false. As long as it's FIA approved, and let me get this correct, Motorsport UK regs 8855 1999, then it should be sound. So that means we get to keep this Cobra 1 champion. Another thing that we didn't know, which is kind of embarrassing to be fair, on the last race, is that every car has to weigh the same, and to match everyone's driver's weight level, you need to have a ballast weight inside the car where the passenger seat goes. So every car weighs the same, and it's basically who's the best driver. Unfortunately, we didn't take any last time, so we had to borrow some out of other teams, which was quite embarrassing, but it is what it is. They were really helpful. Yeah, they got us some weight we could use for the race. Otherwise, if we didn't have it, we wouldn't have been able to race.
And so this base plate bolts directly to the old seat bolt holes. Once that is in place, the weight can be added on top, along with the bolts and washers supplied by the C1 Racing Club. I also got some cheap bumper straps to add. Sadly, I thought it came as a set of 4. Unfortunately, there was only 2 in the pack, so I only managed to do the front. Hashtag Racecar.
Right, I've had a few people ask what tyres do you use, and you can only use one, and that being Nankang for the full racing series. And they've all 14-inch and they fit on the alloy wheels. You can either get them shaved or have a full tyre from standard, pretty much the same as what you would have on a normal road car. We used the shaved ones on the front and then a full tyre in the rear, or you can use all 4 shaved, doesn't really matter. This one was a shaved, and then we've used it for qualifying, so that's how they look after 1 hour. And then this one is after 3 hours, and now what we'd use for that is, that'll be our next qualifying session. The qualifying's only around 50 minutes, so you really want it as flush as you can to replicate a full slick tyre. So after that, all of them last about 4 hours from a full slick tyre. After 4 hours, the tyres are absolutely rubbish, get rid of them and you get a fresh set on. Every driver's different, or every race team uses different tyre pressures. That's the only really thing you can alter with them. Other than that, all the same on every car.
Another gem of an upgrade is this lap timer that I got from Demon Tweaks. This will hopefully tell us how fast or slow we're going in certain segments of the track. Hopefully give us an indication of how terrible we really are and to do better. It plugs directly into the cigarette lighter port and recognises the track with GPS as soon as it's active in pretty much any racetrack. And as you can see here, I made a little bracket for it to bolt on the centre of the dash. It wants to be somewhere you can see it nice and clear, but also not in the way of anything. With the bracket fitted up, I can get the centrepiece back in the car and feed the power leads down to the cigarette lighter port.
Lovely. Lovely.
If it didn't look like a race car before, then it definitely does now. A big shout out to Matthew Barnes Trailer Hire for being our new sponsor this season. Kindly, they've lent us a trailer to take this beast back and forth to the track. Northeast based, they have trailers for everything big or small. Check them out on all social media platforms or give them a ring if you require a trailer of any kind. Mechanically, that is the car all done. We loaded it up and headed over to Rab Sport in Cumbria for the last trick and fine tuning of this whippet, which was to get it tracked by an expert. Richard has years experience in the motorsport industry, working with GT3 cars, McLarens to Ginettas. There's no other man you need to see if you ever need to get your car steering properly. We spent a day there getting it perfect. Once he was happy, it was time to load it up, head back to the unit and fill the van up for Silverstone the next day.
So I'm back from Rab Sport. Massive shout out to the guys over there, Richard and the team setting up the car. They've done an absolute fantastic job. Got us in last minute, so they're really helpful guys there as well. So I just need to pack up the van and then get loaded and head down first thing tomorrow. I'll see you there.
A long drive ahead, we set off early hours of the morning to make it down for the practice session we had booked on the Friday. Stopping briefly for breakfast at a service station, which cost us about $1,000 for a bacon sandwich. We then got back on the road to finally make it to one of the most famous racetracks in the world, Silverstone. Located in Northamptonshire, England, it is considered the home of British motorsport. Originally a World War II airfield, it hosted its first ever Formula 1 race in 1950. Loved by its fans for its atmosphere and unpredictable UK weather. Known for its fast-flowing corners like Copse, Maggots and Becketts and Stowe, it's basically the Wimbledon of racing, only with more speed, noise and fewer claps. And we had one mission, to beat our grid position from last year.
Yeah? Feeling alright?
Yeah.
Right.
As I was a bag of nerves, Lee went out for the first practice session to get some good seat time in and learn the track, something which we didn't do last year. And you can see our new lap timer working a treat, lighting up green on the segments of the track that you've gone faster, whilst also showing how many seconds quicker you were there, and lighting up red when you've gone slower on that section of track compared to the last lap. With Lee's session over, he came back in to let the beast rest before it was my turn to rip the place up.
Let's have it.
Well, Sunday.
Way high.
So off I went to get the grips with our new upgrades and see what this animal could really do around this track. The lap timer being the absolute game changer. Although that didn't stop me being terrible and breaching the track limits. What an idiot. Nonetheless, I kept it on all four wheels somehow, and before I knew it, the session was over. With a bit more confidence, we knew the track. The last thing we had to do today was get the car weighed. Every car has to do this, and it is based off your lightest driver. The weight is then added so all cars match the same weight. For this, you need to brim all of the fluids on the car, such as the fuel and washer tank. Once they're happy with the weight of the car is correct, then they'll put a tag on it so they know it hasn't been tampered with. That was Friday over with. It was time to lock the car up and head back to the hotel for some well needed kit.
Right, so it's the next morning. We're off to scrutineering now. Hopefully the car's going to pass. Just going to have a quick look at the car, make sure it's okay. We'll get a sticker, seal of approval, and then check out gear over, and then yeah, we've just got the rest of the day to prep the car up. Hopefully it goes alright.
This is the technical inspection of the car before an event to ensure it meets the safety standards and comply with the competition rules. They checked the car over along with all of our clothing, and thankfully all was good to go.
Right, so we've got through scrutineering, got the golden ticket to go racing. Just prepping the car up now, swapping the tyres over, going to do a spanner check and make sure everything's alright. We've got a new team member Owen on the job, sorting all the car out, getting all what we need ready. She's looking well. Absolute animal.
Is running like a fine-tuned machine.
Whilst we waited for our pit to become available, we watched other bits of racing from other championships the BRSCC was hosting that weekend. The sun was going down, Aaron and Corey made it, so we managed to get in our garage where we could probably spanner check the car over after the practice sessions and get it looking fresh out the box again.
You're not getting a free air freshener with this one though.
That's extra.
I've got one in my car, I'll come and bring it down with it.
New car smell.
Yeah. I have actually got the smell with it.
Well, the car's all cleaned, ready to go, got it all bolted up, make sure everything's tight. I think we're going to just do a few pit stop practices and then get our heads down for the night. We're ready for race day tomorrow.
Another thing we didn't practice last time was the pit stops. If we wanted to beat our record, then we could save minutes on just one pit stop alone. So we spent the night rehearsing over and over until we knew exactly what we had to do without any questions. And then we called it a night before the big day tomorrow.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world...
Bright and early, the driver's briefing was held, and it was straight to the assembly area for qualifying. With Lee taking the hot seat for the first half, all we needed was one quick lap, which would set us high up on the grid for the race start.
This small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space.
So off he went for the first 30 minutes of qualifying with the rest of the cars.
Hours at the beast in the jungle. Intellect, vast, cool and unsympathetic. Regarded as with envious eyes.
Sadly, however, you can't see him in the top left corner. We had to pit him first lap as we forgot to put enough fuel in the car. As you can see here, we were refueling while everyone was out giving it the beans. Quickly, we did get him on his way and he could actually get some decent times put down for qualifying. A big shout out to the BRSCC for running the event whilst also live streaming it on YouTube and allowing us to use their footage.
And it has always been a centre point of the C1 Racing Club year, and it's become a centre point of the BRSCC Racing year on top of that too, given the fact that the C1 Racing Club came across.
And now was a good time to use our new pit board, making sure he'd definitely seen it. Absolutely smashing the lap times in and getting quicker with everyone, it was time for him to come in and let me have a blast and see what I could do.
Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes.
Yeah, not for me. Amazingly, I did keep it on track and got it back safe. Lee got our fastest lap, getting us 33rd on the grid of 50 cars. If we finish in that position for the race, then we will have definitely beaten our record. With qualifying over, we actually put some fuel in the car for the race, gave it a final spanner check and got some new rubbers on those rims ready to full send it. Row 16 for us, we made it to the assembly line, ready to get on the grid and start the formation lap, with me doing the first half.
Start your engine!
All cars made it to the grid. It was time for the formation lap. This is one full lap of the racetrack, the only chance to warm those tyres up. Once all are back round the last corner, it's bumper to bumper and all eyes are on the lights to go out for a rolling start. signalling that the race is on. Getting comfy with the car, it was all or nothing if we wanted to beat our record. That lap timer again working a treat. And I managed to get a good few overtakes, getting quicker and quicker with every lap. Although I wouldn't be myself if I didn't nearly bin it a few times either. The action was heating up and now some teams were pitting to get their mandatory pit stops in. Every team had to do 3 pit stops in the 3 hours of racing. Failure to do so would entail a penalty or even disqualification. Roughly 45 minutes into the race, it was time for me to come in on our first pit stop and let the lads refuel the car. Refueling can only take place once the driver is out of the car and all the doors are closed. The refueler, being Corey, can get our beast filled up. Owen, being the fireman, hold an extinguisher closely behind in case it all goes terribly wrong. Thankfully, we did something right and I was thrown back in the car to give it to Beans before it was Lee's turn. Sadly, there was an accident where a car flipped, meaning that the safety car was deployed. Fortunately, no one was hurt, which is a testament to the safety kit that is built into these cars. Once recovered and the track was clear, it was back to the grind. About halfway into the race, my time was up and it was back into the pits to let Lee in this beast and rip this place up. Rob Lewis doing a great commentary on the live stream of how cars should be pitting, whilst we went in the background like the circus, trying not to get a penalty like last time. Lee all buckled up, it was time for him to do his best and show Silverstone what he could do. He was absolutely flying out there, making his way down the grid, doing overtakes. It was looking promising to beat our record. At this point, we managed to be 28th with just 1 pit stop to go. Less than an hour to go, all teams were trying to get in for the final pit stop, putting in the minimum amount of fuel to get it over the line. Last pit stop for us, just to get enough fuel in to make it over the finish, then it was the final stretch until the end of the race. Lee was keeping it full send as we were down to just 26th on the leaderboard, with just under half an hour to go. And what a ride it was as the sun was coming down over Silverstone. He was going that quick, he decided to try and bin it with just 10 minutes to go. Thankfully though, he didn't hit the gravel, so he spun it back on the track and pushed it right to the end. And just like that, the checkered flag was out and the 3 hours were up. Team Alpha Trojan making it first across the line, taking first place. Top racing, fellas. Shortly followed by us coming back over the line, placing 24th overall. Absolutely smashing our previous record. We couldn't have been happier. A great team effort by all. It sure was ropey at times, but we made it back in one piece with more amazing memories added to the bank. What more could you ask for? So the race is over, it is back to reality, back to fixing cars. If you've got this far on the video, hit that like button, hit subscribe, there's plenty more projects coming, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!